Yo, what's up guys, Seiishizo over here, and we got the notice for two things. We got the patch update notice and we got the balance update notice. And what's interesting to see is the first reaction from the community. For the patch notes, we actually have still a lot of skulls, but also a few hearts and a few already like hogs out there and that kind of stuff. And then for the next one, we actually have a lot of hearts, still a few skulls. People are probably not happy about something in the first place, but this is by far the best receiving message thus far. So let's actually open both of them and let's see what we have. And keep in mind, no matter what they do, there will always be some people unhappy. But let's see what we have. So the patch goes live on the 30th, UTC -8. So that's like 10 a.m.-ish European time, I think. We get some hydro crystals. Cool. So first of all, we get the new unit, Lilium, which was mentioned before. I did not really make a video about her. I'd rather see her actual skills to see how she will be performing, but we didn't get a full preview of that just yet. I think in general, she might be kind of power creeping. I think she might be pretty strong. She's definitely a hard counter against the CC, like Balls, Kazuyas, and all of that kind of good stuff. But is she going to be super OP? I'm not sure. We will see later with some nerfs, with the Revelation nerf mainly, that Bruiser will become more dominant, and therefore also CC becomes more dominant, and therefore she might be insanely strong. So is she a must pick up? I cannot say 100% sure yet, but I think she will be pretty good. They also add a new SR unit, which is also the Dark Element, which is, I would say, relatively easy to get as well. It's not as hard. It's a support animus with AoE vulnerable and speed buffs. It's pretty interesting. I think it's more of a PvE unit, to be honest, because speed up and AoE vulnerability is more of like an AoE PvE unit, I think. But it's hard for me to say if that's actually going to be really good, because vulnerable, it's not defense break, but it's like a little bit of damage addition. I think there's not a single unit that does vulnerable AoE just yet. We see a few units that have that on skill 1, such as the D-Ting, such as Messiah, I think. But besides that, haven't seen too much out of that. Also, if I misread anything, it's 5:30 a.m. I pretty much slept for like 4 hours-ish. I saw this notes and I was like, I want to do a video on it. So let's actually see how that goes. We will have new outfits, blah, blah, yada, yada. Okay, we will actually have the units going live on the reset of the 31st. Okay, let's see what we have for gameplay updates. First of all, Grim Pursuit Inferno difficulty will now feature to guaranteed a mythic quality shell after 5 victory battles. So you're guaranteed to get 1 after 5. I wonder how this works. Like, is every 5th there so a guaranteed? Or is if you got like a mythic shell in the 2, does it reset back to 0? I'm not sure, but at least every set of 10, you will get 2. Which, or does it mean on the 6th? So after 5 battles, technically your 6th is that. I think it should be on your 6th, because it says after 5 and not on your 5th. But then again, at least you get a few bit of that as well. Then we also have the AnySync echoes being updated, so that pretty much if you clear the whole thing, you get another lattice on that, which is always nice. We also have the new Amber track, including Frostbite at the start, one is blah, 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 with Frostmark, okay. Snow Sleep, the mechanic will go for, okay, what is this Snow Sleep? Is that another stun mechanic? Because we had the Amber track in the first rotation where it was a stun mechanic, second rotation where it was a dot mechanic. The stun mechanic was definitely a lot more annoying. Secret stage have been added to Amber track. Not sure what that's going to be, but okay. We have the new loadout feature for Arena. A dedicated gear loadout system for exclusive for arena modes, where you can create specialized builds based on the team composition, not affecting your PvE gear. So, aka gear split, PvE has its own gear, PvP has its own gear. Very, very nice. That's exactly the thing I was waiting for. Also, in the last video I made on like some people call it like the secret dev talk and that kind of stuff, whatever people did call it. So someone actually made a whole video calling me out of like, oh, he's treating it like his job and he's not even doing PvP and that kind of stuff. No, the main reason I was not doing PvP is because I knew this was coming and I was too lazy to actually switch gear. If I was not that lazy to switch gear, I could have done it regardless, but I knew this feature was coming. And because of that, I just wanted to wait for it. And I think this feature is absolutely goated, because now you can actually lock your PvE or like your PvP defense while still doing your PvE stuff and that kind of stuff. It does not say anything about like the specific loadouts for each individual dungeon, which I talked about, but I think I saw that a little bit later. But let's see if that's actually the case, or maybe I misread it. We also have the balance adjustments for season or after season 0. I will look into that in a second. We also have a whole bunch of fixes. For the fixes that I've seen so far, probably nothing like super crazy. Fix some description, fix a mistake in description, fixed error, okay. Nothing that I really do see something. Okay, fix an issue where bulwark module on the feed would cause me to do display incorrectly. I'm not sure if this is something that's not supposed to happen. I'm curious about that. If that's like, it's just fixing the issue of displaying it incorrectly. Is it also then giving it incorrectly? I'm not sure about that, because some people did mention it that Freya does give like speed buff on, or like a little bit of speed extra based on buffs. Bulwark is immunity, therefore does it not work that well? I don't know. Okay, did not. Okay. Grim Pursuit shorten. Okay, is that also fix an issue with shorten debuffs? Maybe they slightly nerfed Sharon. I'm not sure about that, but I don't think so. Gameplay changes. Okay. Amber track. Yep. Fix an issue when encountering enemies in the archive. Okay, no one cares. This one. Okay. Fix an issue where I deploy network issues. Sure. Fix an issue. Okay. Share bus, blah, blah. Yep. Fix an issue, the turn meter on Slim's bonds. Yep. I guess all of those are kind of fine and nothing too crazy out there. At least I couldn't really find any in the fixes which would do anything. Then we have a few more leaderboard fixes, nicknames. Yep. Fix Ethernet rally. Yep. White water better automatically locked. Okay. Interesting. Fix turn meter for plus turn meter, minus turn meter simultaneously. Okay. Fix bar glitches, multi hits. Okay. Yeah, I guess that all of those kind of is fine. Then we go for optimization and adjustments. Those are a lot more interesting. And then strategy functionality to add lineup for our daily difficult challenge. Okay, top tier animal setup based on the. I'm not sure what this is. What is like for daily high difficulty challenge? I'm not sure what this is. Is this for like your normal dungeons? Is this for like the events? Is this for I have no clue, but this will help out some people to see that people are using lilies. No, probably it will just showcase like what people are using, but I'm not entirely sure where. Formation feature optimized after the update. Formation will now save both shells and modules for the status animus. The original formation quick menu will be removed. You can now save your current team lineup equipment directly to the formation during the deployment of each stage. Please note that any of the lineup from previous formation will be cleared after the update. I think that this is the part where you have like a specific lineup for every individual dungeon, and you can quickly just get like the whole lineup saved based on that if you just select the lineup from like a specific dungeon or something. I think that this is the individual dungeon gear split. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that is what it is. If it's going to work exactly as I expected it to do, I'm not 100% sure neither, but sounds pretty interesting. Add a display for initial turn meter. Okay, improve continuous damage. Yep, sure. Revise script modules. Quest. Okay. Yep. That's always a good thing. Improve description for shell. Now clickable. That's very good, because normally like you were doing the shell story event and you have no clue what does the artisan do, what does this do, what does that do. So that's kind of nice. Remove daily donations for the cyber shadows. I think it makes it a lot easier to clear that if you have no limit on that. So that's kind of good. Adjusted the rewards for the 3 diamonds events for the chakra rings, that will be tripled. Okay, so getting a little bit more rewards over there, that's nice as well. Add a description for the hyperlink chair, the Animus Fate 3, special training 4. Grim Pursuit difficult is now Sharon Hell or higher. I think you have to do Infernos over here, so that makes it a little bit easier, but I'm not 100% sure if that's the case. Improve restriction prompt when purchasing tickets. Doesn't change anything, it's just a prompt. Loading stage requirement for Cage Rumble from 4.5 to 3k. That's a big reduction right there, and therefore this will be a lot more clearable for people that have struggles clearing this in the first place or don't have that many units just yet. So I think that's a good improvement. Reduce damage from Vice odds as an enemy. Okay. Optimize Shiada skill wave. Okay, I guess. Increase the participation rewards for the Summit Arena, now get you 200. Okay. Oh, wait, this is actually nice. I actually did see someone talk about that. So for every victory you do in Summit Arena, you get like 200 right now. So you only have to do 10 victories. Or you have to do, what is that, like 40 defeats. Whereas before you had to do 200 defeats. So yeah, those are nice upgrades. So even if you're losing, it's relatively easy to get your daily RT or like your weekly RTA in. Some people might argue that it's too little, but I kind of like it. I would have rather seen it where you have like the seasonal things. What's it called? Like you have some seasonal like rewards and that kind of stuff. I would have rather seen those on a weekly base, but I think that this is a good thing to make things easier for people to just get their things in. Improve battle results performance. Okay. I'm not sure what the battle screen results performance is. Are we actually talking about like seeing like what unit did how much damage and that kind of stuff, how much healing and those kind of things? I would really like to see that. We don't have that in Summoners War neither. I've been asking for that for the last like 10 years-ish. But it's always nice to have like a screen to talk about like, okay, which damage or which unit actually did how much damage, which unit did how much healing. Was my Sanya healing more than my Ling Lo or anything like that? So that's kind of interesting. If that is actually the thing or it's just because it's improved. Maybe it's just showing the same shit, but a little bit better. I don't know. Improved is a very wide term over there. Improved visual effects for certain units in game. Okay, multiple languages. Yep, overall stability. Okay, fair. Let's move on to the seasonal balance adjustment. So we have several changes to Hyperlinkers, current Animus overall strength. Yep. Okay, development carefully listen to everyone's voice. Let's work together to make Etheria even more exciting. Okay, let's see what we have. This is the one where I saw most of the upvotes of like happy people. So first of all, we have Hellkit, which is actually, that was my goat during the tournaments, like in the betas. And this is also the one that I actually started doing like the dupes in for the Union Assist or the Union Aid. And then I was like, this unit's actually kind of ass. But let's see, how much of an upgrade do we have? So we have 111 to 117, can reach up to 127, which makes him second best or second highest speed in game because the highest is 128. There are a few units at 127, but he will be in that party of 127 right now. So that's very nice. We also have the Shout Barrier, deals damage. Okay, we have the improvement of 240. We go to 300. So the shield is stronger and he's a lot faster. So therefore he can land his shield more often. I think that's pretty strong. I think that definitely will help him out. And is that the right buff he needs? I think his Shout Barrier is still something that if you just straight up strip it, it's completely removed for the immunity and stuff. But I think it's like a good direction that way. We have Holden with a buff, which I'm kind of surprised about. I felt like Holden was one of the better bruises in game already. But Holden actually gets like a damage buff over here. And gets more chance of defense down as well, which is incredibly strong for his skill 1. And then his passive, which is also on his skill 1, also goes up to 12%. And his counter rate is now 6% of the final damage for every 500 defense. So I do think that Holden is going to become absolutely strong. I already think like the top end players like Brad and stuff, they had a really insane Holden. I think Holden might be the GOAT of like the bruiser play right now. Might be the new unit as well, Lilium, but I think that Holden will be incredibly good. Next up we have Coloros. Coloros skill 3, we go up for more final damage to 35%. So definitely going to be super good in all of those like cage rumbles and those kind of things. I think he doesn't even need skill ups for that at all. He doesn't need any lattices, and he will already be pretty darn good for all of that. So Coloros is nice on that. We also have an improvement on Rahul. Rahul goes a little bit of damage improvement of 30%, but also the chance of landing the defense down to 80%. That's a really good number. That's good odds for landing that. That's also skill 1 which he counters with. So on counters, there's very good odds for defense down. We also do have the third skill, which now goes up in damage from 360 to 400. So definitely, once again, big bruiser buff. Rahul was decent, but definitely not on a Tiamat kind of level. So it gets more towards a Tiamat kind of level. I think that they try to put like the bruises towards more Tiamat kind of level. Like Holden is kind of out there right now. Rahul is kind of out there right now. So both are pretty nice. We have buffs to Romocha, I think, to make her a little bit more PvP-ish. Rather than just Doki Doki. So we have the final damage from 0.6 to 1% after attacking. That's definitely a fair bit amount for the target's lost HP to add in extra damage. We also have the skill 3 doing more damage right now, and then also having a higher chance to stun, so will make her easier to farm Doki Doki with. You can probably do Doki Doki with her right now without maxing the skills. I would say mainly on the skill 1, like skill 3 you still need for the splash damage fully. But you're gonna need it, or you don't need as much attack on it to still get anywhere. So I think that's nice. Then we also have the Fucho, if I say that correctly. We have the Egg, which it doesn't have towards resistance. Makes a lot of sense. We have the Oboro, which goes for start of the turn. It takes 50% to 100% of the applier, so bleeding becomes stronger. I do know that there are future units that are more potential for bleeders as well. So that might be a thing that bleed in general gets a buff before that unit is released, and then that unit that actually has like AoE bleeds or something, if there will be a unit like that, might be more potential out there. I did hear some rumors that the dark unit like Drazel or something, or Drakel, or whatever his name was, is potentially a bleeder, but that is just something that I heard picked up here and there. I'm not sure if that's true or just a rumor. Moving on next, we have Gray with more damage outputs. Yep, additional damage. Okay, fair bit of damage on Gray. Gray already has pretty solid damage, but adding another 40% on top of that for a guaranteed crit, or like when you're critting, that's a fair bit amount. That's not bad. We also have the Shiaki, which is the red one. And we have start with 2 to 3 stacks. Okay, and that's also a damage reduce right about, as far as I'm not mistaken, in this Origami Guardian. So decent upgrade as well. I'm not sure if it's really strong, but definitely a decent upgrade. We have the Wild Rampage Rin, which I'm pretty sure is the taunt one, while it shows by the defense, so that's that. Cooldown reduces to 3, which is definitely a bit on the short side, which, or like a shorter cooldown in general, which is good for her, because if she was using skill 1s, it wasn't as strong, so definitely do like that upgrade right there. Oh wait, is this the taunt? No, that's just the taunt, so the shield is upgraded. Okay, I was thinking the taunt was upgraded. Maybe not as crazy then. Tsutsumo or whatever. This dude's name is more damage on single hits. Each hit steal buff, higher chance. Yep. And more damage on this. I think this unit is still kind of ass. I don't really feel like the need of this unit at all. Funny enough, they're actually lowering the cooldown on Marvel again. They actually previously, from the beta to the current state, they upped the cooldown and they lowered the pushback. Or did they lower the pushback, or did they lower the rates? No, I think they lowered the pushback. But they're actually making this cooldown back to a 4 turn again, which is definitely really interesting, and it makes Marvel and therefore free-to-play PvE a lot easier again, especially in the early game, because Marvel's absolutely going to be coded for that. Also for any Sync Echoes or Amber Track or any of those kind of things, if you don't have like heavy CC units, Marvel's absolutely going to be your friend, so I'm very happy they do this, because this just makes things very free-to-play friendly, because Marvel's easy to get, easy to invest in, so I'm definitely happy about this change. For PvP, it's not really going to change anything all too much, but for PvE, and especially for free-to-play style of players, Marvel's absolutely going to be a lot stronger again, because you did notice that on a 5-turn rotation, it's often like too long to actually get your skills in. So yeah, Marvel definitely a very nice one for early game and free-to-play. We also have the Makoto, which is the punching lady thingy. She also has like some extra base speed over here and some extra damage over there. I've seen this do pretty okay, but I'm not sure if it's going to be that crazy, but I think that's kind of okay. We also have the Sibyl, extra damage over here, and extra damage over there, and extra damage over, or extra debuffs over there. I've seen people use this as a free-to-play healer in Aurora. Will be a little bit better there for at that moment. I think that's a good change. We also have the number 41 skill 3 goes for more turn meter. That is also nice for free-to-play change as well. So they actually have been changing a bunch of SR units and not just full focusing on SSR units, which I think is pretty nice. We also have Chachi the Ursa Miner. I think that was the fire one, but I'm not 100% sure. Knocks the turn meter down from 30 to 50 with stun chance. Okay, I guess. And then we have the real big change implemented in PvP modes. Revelation has lower damage by 30%. That is an insane amount. I was expecting maybe a 10 or a 20%, or maybe 25 by most, but 30, that's a fair bit. So we're definitely going more into bruiser metas with that. That is absolutely for sure. Revelation did take a fair hit, but it's only in PvP. So I think that's very good that they're not addressing anything in PvE, because for mainly Doki Doki and also a bit for Aurora, this is definitely needed. So I think that's a really good change right there, and that definitely will help out a lot. To not get like insta-cleave by Revelation all too much. But Revelation, I think it still might be pretty strong. Like if they have a good like triple Revelation and you don't have any proper counters to it, you probably still will die. But then again, if you go proper counters to it with like lighthouses and stuff, you will, and bloodbaths, you will definitely survive. So those are kind of the two edges. Some units therefore are a little bit harder nerfed that are very Revelation based, such as like a Yelly or anything like that. But definitely still usable in the right moment. A Revelation unit will still be strong. But if you go full Revelation stacking, there's definitely a lot harder counters to it. We also have Golden Lion getting a buff where you use multiple skills going up for from 5 to 8% and the accuracy to 15%. But the maximum amount of stacks goes from 8 to 5. I think Golden Lion is one of the best shells for like Cage Rumble or anything that there's like a longer fight where you have like multiple skills stacking up. And then Golden Lion is incredibly strong. So mainly Cage Rumble, or you go for your Union Boss or anything like that. So pretty strong over there. We also have shells no longer will considered be skill 1. Okay. Any effect that triggers skill 1 and will no longer apply the shell. Okay, I'm not really sure which interaction this exactly is. And Keen Eyes can no longer be triggered by shell damage. So that is mainly, I guess, for White Fang is highly adjusted on that. So White Fang is a little bit weaker on that. But yeah, it's still fine. I would say, yeah, White Fang and maybe also would Revelation also be counting as that? I'm not sure. Revelation's too many multi-hits to be good on that anyway. So interesting. Lots of changes. Very good changes. Yeah, I'm liking this in general. I'm definitely liking this. Like Revelation is slightly nerfed. We will definitely go more into a bruiser meta, which will have a little bit longer fights and those kind of things. But let me know in the comments what you guys think about all of these changes. I think they have pretty good changes. I also think they have pretty good updates for the patch notes in general. A lot of cool things are addressed. People would still say Rangokutsu is too hard, which I would have liked to see a little bit of a nerf on Rangokutsu. I think that's the biggest part for me personally missing in this patch note. Second part, maybe something along the lines for modules, making it cheaper on the 3, the 6, and the 9, and more expensive on the 12 and the 15. So in the end, the whole price of 1 to 15 is more or the same cost, but you can have more chance of like checking if something rolls good in the early stage or not. So I would have rather, those are the kind of the two things that I'm missing. So modules, kind of the economy like slight fix that I have in mind to make the 3, 6, and 9 cheaper, and then the like the rest more expensive to get to the same point, but you have more of an option and a chance to actually roll things and just try check out like the first few stages of it. And Rangokutsu nerf. I think Rangokutsu absolutely does deserve a nerf. I think it's one of those stages that just adds too much frustration to the game of just over a PvE stage, which is absolutely not a necessity within the game. But besides that, I think they have addressed a whole bunch of good stuff. They have like the loadouts, they have the PvP, PvE gear switch. They have Revelation nerf. They didn't nerf it in PvE at all. They added 2 new units. This one might be a little bit power creeping, but I think it's too early to say if she's actually good because we haven't seen like proper multipliers. We don't know her base speed. We don't know pretty much anything just yet. But by the skill set readable, it looks definitely very strong. So let me know in the comments. W patch, L patch. I would give this patch, including the patch notes, for the current state of the game, I would give it like an 8.5. Yeah, I would give it an 8.5. If it added in the Rangokutsu nerf, I would say we're looking at a 9.5. If we added in the something that added more to the economy fix, then we were looking at an 11.5. So the economy fix is like the +3, the +6s, or just getting more materials, or already adding in like the crafting thing that you can reduce some materials to crafting and then you can get like the right piece. If we were looking at a shell passive like pity kind of stuff, which I did not expect to be in this patch, then we were talking like 13 out of 10. But I would say I give this patch plus the patch notes and the what's it called, the balance adjustments, I would give that all an 8.5. So let me know in the comments what's your opinion about this. Am I super white knighting this again? Or, well, some people said, it's actually funny, some people are like, you spread hate, and then on the other side of the people is like, you're white knighting this game, you get paid by this. I'm like, that video in particular was not paid at all. So yeah, either out what you want to say about that, I don't really care. I'm just trying to enjoy my game and I'm trying to have some fun with it. And that is also the way that I will be playing the game. So I definitely will be awaiting this patch that's going to be hitting on the 30th or like 31st. Well, the new units hit on the 31st. I think the patch hits on the 30th. Yeah, I would say that's probably the case. So the balance patch goes live one day earlier than that. There's a little bit of a downtime right now where nothing's really happening for like a day, day and a half, 2 days-ish, which is a little bit sad. But yeah, that's all from me for this video. I'll be posting this and getting my ass back to bed because I only slept for 4 hours and I want to sleep a little bit more than 4 hours. Guys, thanks a lot for watching. See you as always in the next one.
Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more guides, join the Discord and check out the content tab for the guide video archive, which contains all of the guides that you might need. Hope to see you there.